Hello and welcome to the Regulatory Matters webinar series, brought to you by the Master of Science in Regulatory Science and the Johns Hopkins University Office of Advanced Academic Programs. Today's event features a discussion on when viral marketing meets FDA law. Please note today's event will be recorded and uploaded to the AAP YouTube channel under the Regulatory Matters playlist. During the program, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A function and we will answer as many questions as possible during the latter portion of the event. With that, I will turn over the presentation to our moderator, Dr. Bill Barrier, Program Director for the Master of Science in Regulatory Science program.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another webinar presented by the Business and Regulatory Division of Johns Hopkins. Today, we have the pleasure of being talked about when viral marketing meets FDA regulations and law by Dr. Haven McCall, one of our esteemed faculty members. For those of you not familiar with our program, we offer master's degrees in regulatory science, as well as we offer master's degrees in biotechnology, business, and entrepreneurship, enterprise and entrepreneurship. So with that in mind, I'm going to let Dr. McCall introduce himself, and then we can get started with the webinar. Dr. McCall?
Great. Thank you, Bill. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I've spent 25 years working in FDA regulated industries. My experience has been in drugs, devices, and biologics. I've loved it. It's been great. I currently teach here at Johns Hopkins University. I've been here for about 6 years. I do that part-time. And before Johns Hopkins, I spent time teaching graduate courses in regulatory affairs and clinical affairs at Arizona State University, the University of Southern California, and the University of Utah. And it's great to be here to do this webinar. Bill, did you want to share anything else before I start?
No, I think you are good to go. And with that, take it away.
All right. Well, I'm Dr. Haven McCall, and I'm excited to explore the fascinating world where viral marketing meets FDA law. From TikTok miracle serums to trendy weight loss shots, we're going to look at some of the social media hype that can sometimes outpace the law and what that means for companies, clinicians, and consumers. Today, I'll show you some real examples of what happens when enthusiasm gets ahead of regulation, and we'll talk about how to be creative in your marketing without crossing the line. I'm sure some of you have seen in recent years, we've seen a massive wave of products promoted online. Companies are chasing likes, clicks, and revenue, and sometimes they ignore the guardrails that protect the patients and the public. Today, I'm going to highlight some real cases where viral marketing has collided with FDA regulations and how to recognize those red flags before a post becomes a problem. By the end of the webinar today, you should be able to do 3 things. First, identify viral marketing practices that cross FDA lines across drugs and devices, cosmetics, supplements, and tobacco. Second, explain why posts from executives or employees or influencers, even celebrities, are considered promotional communications under FDA law. And third, use what I call the golden rules of viral compliance to launch campaigns that are fun, modern, creative, and still compliant. All right, here's how we'll spend our time. We'll start with a quick overview of viral hype and what drives it. And then I'll share some case studies with you, some examples. These are recent. And then after that, I'll go into a practical checklist and share those rules of compliance. And then we'll wrap up with some key takeaways and answer any questions you might have. All right, let's start with a question. How many of you have seen a celebrity influencer post about a health product or a device and thought, maybe I should try that. Well, it's that simple human reaction that drives viral marketing. 10 years ago, this famous Instagram post by Kim Kardashian became one of the most famous examples of how quickly a single post can cross the line and how fast a viral campaign can spin out of control. In 2015, an endorsement was made by Kim Kardashian, and within just a few days, she had 500,000 likes. Now, here's the interesting thing. In this post, in her promotional post, she shared a personal testimony about this product. And what she didn't do was comply with FDA regulations. She left out risks that could happen, and her claims were misleading. The FDA issued a warning letter for the company, and it required not just the post to come down, but it required Kim Kardashian to do a new post promoting the product within the lines of regulation. This really began FDA's active surveillance on social media when companies or celebrities or individuals make claims about products.
Dr. McCall, I have to ask you a quick question.
Sure.
In this particular case, was the influencer paid by the company, or was this something she did on her own? And I guess if the influencer has no direct involvement with the company, does this still cross the line if they aren't being compensated, if they aren't doing any of those things that would result in that type of relationship?
Great question. The FDA looks first at the claims being made about a product. If those claims are made that align that product as a drug, a biologic, or a device, anything that FDA regulates, they look at that first for enforcement. Companies have a requirement to do post-marketing surveillance activities. Okay, so regardless if the promoter is paid or if it's a testimony from maybe a sales consultant, or if it's a claim that's being made in social media somewhere about your product, there is an obligation on behalf of companies to be aware. They have to actively monitor social media to make sure their products are being promoted as they were approved or cleared by the FDA. Now, Kim Kardashian was paid for this, and celebrities are paid to do that. And here in a little bit, we'll talk about what that means and what those obligations are for both parties, a company or an influencer. They can still be creative, but they have to stay within the lines of regulations. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about viral marketing. It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a message that spreads like a virus. It uses emotion, visuals, algorithms, anything that favors something new, shocking, or beautiful. The payoff can sometimes be massive and in revenue with very little cost. But when the product is being promoted and it falls under FDA oversight, that viral reach can quickly turn into a regulatory risk. So I'm going to share two examples here. Any post anywhere that discusses a regulated product is considered a promotion by the FDA. It means a company is responsible for what they say, not just in their ads or interviews, but their comments. And it also means that third parties are held within those regulations. Now, on the left of this slide, here's an example of a CEO who was being interviewed in a talk show, and he made the claim about a silver product. Now, this is ingested, and he made the claim that it actually kills coronaviruses. There was no scientific or medical proof or data to substantiate that claim, but he got a little bold in his interview, and he made that claim, and as a result, those product sales surged from his comment. Now, he received a warning letter from the FDA. And if you know the story about Jim Baker, he was actually indicted for fraud for some of the claims that he made on silver. Some of the consumers who bought that product or similar products, they ingested more than their body could tolerate, and it turned them blue, had adverse events. Now, on the right side of this slide, let's talk about third-party promotion. Companies are still held responsible for claims made by influencers, promoters, independent sales reps, distributors, or etc. Young Living is a company that sells oils, and they do different oils: lavender, cinnamon, just a variety of oils. Now, they do have a multi-level marketing approach where they've got consultants that sell these products, and some of them were bold enough to make claims that lavender cures cancer and diabetes. They made a product about, or a statement about CBD treating Alzheimer's, depression, and PTSD. The FDA became aware of these on social media, these posts, and they wrote a warning letter to Young Living. Now, Young Living replied and said, we have contracts and agreements with each of these independent sales reps that they're not supposed to market, promote, or advertise outside FDA regulations. And the FDA said, well, they still did. And you as a company have an obligation to monitor them to ensure they stay within bounds. All right. So let's talk about a recent case with drugs. In May 2025 of this year, the CEO of Sprout Pharmaceuticals, Cindy, used her personal Instagram account to market and promote one of their drugs. Her post went viral. She made a claim about the product, and there was a concern from some of the viewers who notified the FDA's bad ad program. That's a program that you can connect with the FDA and report products being marketed outside intended indications for use, or share any concerns you might have about a product being sold online or anywhere. The FDA investigated, and they found that the CEO made some misrepresentations in her claim, her post on Instagram, and she omitted risk-related information. Now, in this situation, sales for this product surged. A lot of revenue came in, and it went viral. And the FDA wrote a warning letter and had her take that post down, and she had to do another post with correct information. All right. How many of you have seen one of these chemical peels that you can buy on the internet? You've probably seen it come across your feed in social media. But let me just talk a little bit about this. These chemical peels have flooded social media with promises of reversing aging, maybe curing acne, or giving you a tightening, hydrated skin effect. Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Beyonce, some other celebrities like this often promote these and share what a benefit it is to use these. Well, here's what's happened. Some consumers have experienced facial burns and scarring. Perhaps there was little direction, or perhaps these products were not manufactured according to good manufacturing practices. And maybe the chemicals that were put in these products were too strong. Maybe they're too pure, too potent. Well, who suffers? Sometimes it is the consumer. So here's the message. If you make a therapeutic claim, your cosmetic now becomes an unapproved drug. All right. let's talk about whipped mousse sunscreens. Supergoop. This is another great example. Supergoop has a product they launched with the claim of an SPF of 50. It was a sunscreen product. Now, when they made this claim, they did so without following the regulations to do so. They did not get approval or clearance from the FDA, and they did not follow the monograph requirements to do this. Also with the Goop, they gave the appearance, if you look at the packaging and the product, of an ice cream or a food product. It went viral as fun. It looked incentivizing. The packaging looked great. The viral marketing was there. You had individuals like Hugh Jackman, Jessica Alba, Christy Brinkley marketing, promoting this product, sharing testimonials. This company even made the claim that the product was reef safe and reef friendly. Now that's a big deal. When you wear sunscreen and you're in the ocean and it washes off, when you make this claim, you're sharing that the product will not hurt or harm that reef environment. Now, that claim was never true. So two things happened. One, the FDA issued a warning letter. They also sent a public consumer report about the product that though it has a claim of SPF 50, consumers were still reporting severe sunburns and skin reactions. In fact, there was very little SPF in the product at all. With the claims of this product being reef safe and reef friendly, the Santa Clara District Attorney's Office engaged, and they fined the company a significant amount of money for making false labeling claims. Now, here's the takeaway. Trendy packaging and environmental buzzwords can't replace compliance.
Dr. McCall, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I must admit, I do have some Supergroup play.
Mm-hmm.
So, did the FDA, was there a recall on this product, or are there any class action suits involved with this, and where might they be right now?
Yeah, great question. So the FDA mandated several things from the company Supergroup, which they did. So they had to cease marketing and promoting and advertising their product off-label. Okay, so they had to make some corrections and changes. They do have a SPF 50 and a 40 and a 30 product on the market. All of those products have since complied with regulations. But they had to, for a time, hit the pause button. This is fascinating. You can look this up on Google and read more about it. But yeah, the FDA did require them to do some corrective actions on their products, on their marketing, their promotion, their websites, and the venues in which they sold these products. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about gas station heroin. This is an interesting product. This product, if you've been into a gas station, you may or may not have seen these. Sometimes they're behind the counter with the cigarettes or the tobacco. Sometimes it's within reach, right there at the front counter. But this product is called Neptune's Fix, and it uses an ingredient, tianeptine, and this product is everywhere on TikTok, and it is marketed to the younger generation and youth as a supplement for mood and focus. Users call it a natural antidepressant. It's marketed as as something to improve your brain function, treat anxiety, depression, pain, and opioid use disorder. Now, here's the challenge. When a teenager or a young adult sees someone within their demographic marketing this, giving a personal testimony about how it's helped them, there's an emotional connection they have, and that goes viral, and they want that. And so they will go and they'll buy this. Well, use of this product has caused overdoses, it's caused death, it's caused irregularities with heart, and it's caused some health complications. The FDA has issued multiple consumer warnings because of this. Every time they remove one brand off the market, another one pops up. This has been a challenge for them to regulate this dietary supplement that pops up here and there. So here's the lesson learned here. Labeling something as a supplement doesn't make it legal if it acts like a drug. All of these marketing and promotions that you'll see through the use of viral marketing change a supplement now to a drug. This one,
Recently, we had Dr. Shelkey doing a webinar on dietary supplements. That was quite an interesting discussion. But the question always remains, do you think there will be a time where the FDA does regulate supplements more than they do today?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do. In fact, with MOCRA, that was the Modernization Act in 2022. It was Modernization of Cosmetics Regulation Act. Now, with that came some requirements where companies were strongly recommended to do voluntary registration. And that's on the company side. The FDA is looking into this more heavily than they ever have in the past because these are products that are easy to get on the market. And they'll make a lot of money, they'll get shut down, and another one will pop up. Now, here are some of the challenges. The supply chain, the ingredients used to make these products, they aren't always sterile. They're sometimes have contamination. The purity and potency behind them isn't always there, and it's not consistent. The labeling doesn't always match the ingredients that are in the product. Most often, they don't. Consumers will purchase these believing testimonials or claims or reading the label, and may sometimes experience an overdose or a health complication. So yes, the FDA is actively working with the Department of Justice, and they're working with other government agencies to remove these products, even from online selling platforms. Walmart.com, Amazon, some of these other one-offs where they're being sold. They're even working with payment processors. And as they flag and identify these sales of these risky products, they will shut those down. So the payment processors will not allow the company to process any more payments. And that's happening right now. We're going to see more of that in 2026. All right. This GLP-1 gray market area is really big right now. These are unapproved and misbranded versions of injectable semaglutide, Ozempic type products being sold online, most often as research chemicals. The labeling may say not for human use or for research use only. These companies believe that by putting that, they can legally sell these products without a prescription and market these as such. Now, this picture on this slide just shares a few examples of testimonials by influencers or normal people like you and I on social media marketing these products. Now, They'll share the product, they'll share a result, they'll make a claim that they've lost 50 pounds in 2 months, and then they will have a link on their posting that you can click on and purchase that product direct from them. They also provide dosing tips. Now, we know without proper clinical training and education and product training, none of us can do that. But you can see the concern there. Someone like you and I will see something. We may want to lose weight, get back in shape. We can now click on a link to buy that product, and now they've shared with us how to use it. It could be an injectable product, it could be a pill or a supplement. And now we're taking instructions from someone who's not medically or clinically trained. These products aren't always sterile, clean, contaminant-free. Occasionally, these products are counterfeit, especially with the demand for these products surging and going through the roof. Now, recently, the FDA has issued over 50 warning letters. A warning letter is significant. That is public. People can see that. And if you don't comply with the warning letter and make changes, you'll be shut down. Your branding, your reputation, your credibility, everything is tarnished at this point. So the FDA has issued warning letters, not just to these companies, to these platforms that are selling these products, but also to these individuals, just like you and I, who are trying to make some money by selling these products. Sometimes these testimonials can get a little out of control with some of the claims. Maybe they're not always true. When someone is biased to generate revenue, sometimes their ethics will change and they'll start making claims that are flat out not true. Okay. Now, who remembers at-home laser hair removal? 5 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, this was really popular. These products were being promoted as do-it-yourself, pain-free, easy to use, remove any unwanted hair that you might have. Now, my wife bought one of these, and she used it, and she burnt her legs trying to remove some hair. The instructions were very limited. We spent several hours searching the internet trying to figure out how to use it, how long, how often. We learned a lesson. The results from some of these do-it-yourself at-home laser hair removal devices caused burns, infections, and scarring. The FDA warned the distributors like Amazon and Target, Walmart. I saw these being sold at a Sam's Club and a Costco. The FDA shared with them that it was illegal to do so. These notable distributors pulled these from the shelves, but occasionally you still see these pop up in your social media feed with claims that it's easy to remove your hair. So here's the takeaway. These do-it-yourself devices might look harmless, but they're actually regulated as medical devices. And when you're buying something without a prescription, there is a higher likelihood that you may get injured. Okay. Well, we're going to shift gears and talk about tobacco. This has been a challenge, especially as vapes and e-cigarettes have been marketed specifically to youth. Okay. So social media today has become the new storefront for these new vape brands. They'll use short videos, testimonials, they use pictures and images with bright colors, candy flavors, and celebrity tie-ins to target teens to use these products. These two products are examples. One is a strawberry pina colada. The other one is mixed fruity. Sometimes when you see these marketing campaigns, you may think they're okay. There's no tobacco in them and there's no harm. You're just vaping in a cotton candy flavor. It can be confusing for young adults and youth. Well, the FDA has issued warning letters, and they have issued fines to these companies, these platforms, anytime they see or come across a product, a vape product like this, that is a youth-targeted campaign. So the pattern here is clear. If your marketing appeals to minors, the penalties are severe. And you'll see a lot of these products come on the market, they'll spike, bring in a lot of revenue, and then they die. And then you'll see another one come in, and they'll die. All right, so here's why viral marketing happens so quickly. Claims spread faster than corrections. Affiliate links multiply exposure. Short videos cannot fit the proper risk information, and screenshots will live forever, even after the posts are deleted. This combination makes social media one of the hardest environments for compliant communication. When viral products hurt people, perhaps through burns or overdoses or infections, that harm is real. And this is why FDA oversight exists, to protect patients and consumers and ensure that enthusiasm never outweighs the evidence. Now, some of you may work at a company and you've got a product that you want to market through social media. That's wonderful. You want to do that. However, you got to make sure that your creativity is in compliance with the FDA. So here are some golden rules that I want to share with you. Every claim must define your intended use. All right. So any claim you make, you must ensure that it's been approved or cleared by the FDA already. Every single post is a promotion. Every influencer is your spokesperson. Every disclaimer is weak if behavior doesn't change, and every single share counts as advertising. If you remember nothing else from this webinar and this presentation, remember this slide. This is your safeguard. All right, well, here's some guidance before you post anything, anywhere about your product, making a claim. Before posting or even approving a campaign, check these 4 things. Do the claims align with the right regulatory pathway? Does the post include fair balance or a link to the risk information? Are influencer agreements clear and are they documented? And have promotional materials been submitted internally for review? Could be by legal or regulatory affairs. And have they been archived? Well, what happens if one of your postings goes viral the wrong way? Well, let me give you some guidance on that. If a post goes viral and it explodes, here's what you do. Freeze all further promotion immediately. Archive everything. Conduct a risk assessment with your regulatory and medical teams. Work with legal to remove or correct the content and document what went wrong. Now, you as a company or an organization have an obligation to do something if your viral went wrong in a bad way. There may be some correction that you need to do. You may need to reach out to the FDA and notify them. You may need to recall product. You may need to make a public statement. But the final thing is, when you do something wrong, use it as a training moment to strengthen your company and your internal review process. Okay, so to wrap up, I'm going to share a few things with you. Creativity and compliance don't have to be enemies. Claims discipline will always beat clever copy. Okay. If a post implies treating or curing a disease, it's under FDA oversight. And social media is not a loophole. Fair balance applies everywhere. And I promise you this, regulators are watching closely. Now, for celebrities, cool formats, and packaging, here are a few tips. Celebrity partnerships and fun packaging are fine. However, they must follow the rules. But when you have a product that looks like whipped cream or candy or something that's targeted at kids, you better expect questions. When you have a celebrity or a promoter, an influencer marketing your product, not in alignment with regulation, you better be ready for the FDA to knock on your door. They will ask, who is the true audience and is it lawful for that category? And they will ask, have we approved or cleared this product for the indication of use that you're marketing it for? They know if they have or not, but they're going to ask you. Always plan for that scrutiny. So in closing, what's the big takeaway? Viral marketing and FDA law can coexist. Again, creativity and compliance, they don't have to be enemies. The key is integrity. The key is creating content that excites people but doesn't endanger them. And when we pair innovation with compliance, we protect patients and preserve trust and ensure that good companies stay out of bad headlines. All right, thank you for your attention. And I'd love to hear any questions or even some examples of marketing campaigns that you've seen go viral for better or worse.
Okay, we have a question here. It says, are cruelty-free or animals safe claims on cosmetics scrutinized as much as eco-friendly claims on sunscreens like Supergoop? When I buy lipstick or makeup, I wonder if these claims are accurate or do loopholes exist?
That is a great question. And the answer to that is, if the claim is made, there better be some objective evidence that they comply with that claim. You can make a claim about anything and put it on a label to sell it. And animal cruelty-free products, they better have that backed with a certification or an endorsement from them to make that claim. The FTC monitors these claims, and they will do due diligence if there's a report or if they themselves find something that is not accurate. They'll go after the company, they'll find them. There could be civil and even criminal complications as a result.
And there's another question here. What actually, let me scroll down. 1 second.
Sometimes I'll just share something else. Sometimes a supplement or a product or a food may claim it's gluten-free or vegan. And sometimes that's false. Now you can imagine they may be putting that on the labeling to sell that product. And if somebody has a health issue with gluten and they consume that, there will be complications to their health. Sometimes when products are sold from outside the United States, they're being imported. It could be from, I don't know, China. It could be from anywhere in the world, South America, they'll put anything on that labeling to sell that product, whether it's right or not. Sometimes it's counterfeit, and sometimes the ingredients that they list are not accurate in any way.
Okay, I had one comment that seems to have disappeared on me, but here's another one. With the increasing rise of limited space in social media posts, example, a TikTok video that is shared, have you seen the regulators advise on how to disclose marketing claims properly? Is
Hmm.
it linking out to full disclosures on a website enough?
Yeah, great question. Great question. I I don't think it's enough because I've spent my whole career in regulatory. And for me, I've always taken a conservative approach where more is better. So I'll share a few examples. So always a disclaimer on the website is good. It's paid advertisement. The celebrity is endorsing this product. They were compensated for that promotion. Um, there's never any harm, um, even connecting with the FDA to ensure that um, you're following best practices. Um, always work with legal. It's okay to make a claim or use one of those promotions, but to make it visible enough where the consumer can see, okay, I've got this emotional pull to buy this product. I've got this connection with Hugh Jackman. Um, but I can also see that he was paid. Hugh Jackman, he actually owns a piece of Supergoop. And they do a great job on the website disclosing that. So I know when I see his testimonial or him say, I've got great skin because I use this when I'm in the sun, there's a little bias involved. There's an incentive for him to say that because there's some revenue he'd like to generate uh, in the company that will reward himself. Um, now, there is a program called the FDA's Bad Ad Program. Competitors love this. When they have a product on the market that they're trying to market legally, and they've got a new product on the market that pops up, or they have a competitor that's selling that off label or promoting it in a way that's misleading, they will hit that FDA bad ad program and they will file a complaint. And the FDA will follow up on that. Consumers can use that, patients can use that, clinicians can use that. Um, it's there to report, to identify and report um, any of these challenges. Um,
Okay, I have another one for you. Given that there are so many products and supplements advertised in the feed of possible consumers, are legitimate companies better suited to tackle different media, cable, TV, magazines, as a way to stand out?
read that one more time.
Sure. Given that there are so many products and supplements advertised in the feed of possible consumers, are legitimate companies better suited to tackle different media, cable, TV, magazines, as a way to stand out?
Absolutely. The bigger companies have more money, have more resources, have more talent, education, and experience. Now, these bigger companies also um, don't have the same level of risk that these others do. The ones that pop up, they're very risky. Some of them are in it to make as much revenue as they can in the shortest amount of time before they get shut down. But when you get a big company like Johnson and Johnson or GE Healthcare or a big food company or a dietary supplement company, they've got too much on the line. Now, they do have the resources to market and promote in a way that's safe. However, those don't always hit our feeds um, because they play within the bounds of the regulations that they're tied to. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. In 2026, the FDA will most likely prioritize two things. One is prescription drug promotion, and the other one is the misbranded supplements being sold. Expect a closer review of influencer content that lacks risk information and stronger action against products like peptides, the GLP-1s on the market, and supplements disguised as dietary supplements. The FDA is also going to look more, they're going to focus more into the AI generated promotional content. That's interesting. That just pops up. They want clear accountability when algorithms start creating these claims or a bot. Expect to see the FDA in 2026 to continue tightening that gap between modern marketing and traditional regulation. This is going to be a fun area to watch this next year, especially with all the AI coming out. I don't know if you've noticed recently or over the last couple months, when marketing is generated by a bot, sometimes you'll see a little disclaimer at the bottom that says, this statement was created by a bot. It's automated. And it's a disclaimer that there may be inaccuracies or may not contain all information related to the statement. FDA, no way Jose on that. Somebody has got to have some oversight to ensure that these claims that go viral are legal.
So, while I'm checking the chat box, the Q&As, I really don't see any more. So everyone, here's your last opportunity here. Let me just say up front, thank you, Dr. McCall, for a very timely and informative webinar. Again, let me plug the regulatory science and the business enterprise and entrepreneurship programs we have at Johns Hopkins. Certainly feel free to investigate that and pass the word. We really need more regulators in the industry with all the things that are going on. Finally, this will be on our YouTube channel. So for those of you who want to see it again, or folks who didn't get a chance to jump on today, this will be something that will be there for you to see. Thank you very much, Peter, for the link. And with that, let me check again. Any final questions? Alrighty now. So good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are, and thank you for attending this particular webinar.
Thank you.